All right, welcome everybody. Today I have Ian with me, and we are going to be drafting teams. Uh, we've got all of the rank 1 kaiju laid out, and he and I are going to take turns draft picking one kaiju apiece until we've got a team of 3 representing all 3 colors for each of our teams. And to see who gets the first draft pick, Ian is going to choose either the Congratulations Area 8 or the Mothra Wing Area 8, and whichever team's Rage card comes up, they will get the first draft pick. Alright, Ian, which one do you want?
I'm going to pick Congratulations.
Congratulations is the Mothra Rebirth 2 movie, so that's going to be my team. I will get the first draft pick.
Congratulations.
Alright, well now I'm in the quandary of, do I want to how do I want to pick this? Because there are some monsters I would actually prefer you not to have your hands on in your team, but there are some monsters I would like to have on my team.
The ability to hate pick out the other person is quite interesting, but you still have to end up with all 3 colors represented at the end.
I do. So I think what I am going to do, though, is I'm going to go ahead and pick the giant unknown creature to go onto my team, because I know it's one that you're very strong with, but it is also one that I feel is the strongest rank 1 red card, and I have more cards I like in the blues and the greens, so I think I'll be safe doing a red pick first. All right.
Very interesting. I'll go ahead and take the best green card, King
Ah,
Ghidorah.
there we go. 2
Because
champions
I
in their
quite
own
frankly
rights.
don't want to play any of the other ones either. I think that the average card quality in red is higher than the average card quality in green by a fair
Yeah,
margin.
yeah. All right, so for my second draft pick, I am going to make sure I do get my favorite, so I will take the Mothra. So I still have blue or green open for a future pick.
I'm going to take my favorite blue level 2 and make you take an arbitrary red monster because I think they're all pretty comparable to me. So I'll take Godzilla 2002. You already knew it.
All right, yep. All right. Okay,
This
so
one's great
now,
because it can be built defensively or offensively, so it's very flexible depending on what your last choice ends up being. Maximum information.
yeah. So I'm going to be honest. I am seriously debating between uh, either the Biolante Rose form for an interesting pick or Space Godzilla because I also quite like him as a kaiju. Hmm. And I
That's a
think
tough call.
it is. I think I'm gonna go ahead and go with something I'm more familiar with, and go with Space Godzilla. So I've got red with Giant No Creature, blue with Mothra, and green with the flying form Space Godzilla. And
And
what
at this
is
point, I have a variety of choices,
you do?
but none of the decks still here are my preferences. I'm not a Monster X main. I'm not a, shall we say, Guardian Beasts main. I don't think I've ever played Mecha Godzilla. I could pick any of the generic red level ones. For
Yep.
example, 1954 is never out of style, as we saw at the Discord tournament a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
But it is also interesting to consider what you've got going on as well. I need something that's capable of dealing with giant unknown creature at least once, and I'm not sure. I think that the decks that I've chosen already are pretty well suited for that. We have the Godzilla 2002 I can build in a sort of countery direction or in a bunglery direction, and I don't
Yep.
think the deck historically handles the bungler very well. Early aggression. The King Ghidorah is also capable of doing early aggression, but it can do some pretty brutal combinations of like the hand rip on the level 3 or the um, perhaps the movement preventing thing, which can kind of make the combo harder to pull off. It can also
Right.
put some annoying things together. Of course, the whole second form card just is practically designed to get around 23 to red in the first place. But you can at least create you can create quandaries that have to be solved for
Right.
the Chen player. I don't think anything feels better or worse for me into Mothra. I think that your Mothra deck does what your Mothra deck does, regardless of what the opponent is doing most of the time. I don't feel like I can under uh, prepare for it. I think that I just need to be bringing my knowledge of what the deck does into whatever matchup ends up hitting it. And if that ends up being 2002 or King Ghidorah, I think I'm fine with that. If that's any of the other decks, I think I'm fine with that. Because I know with a lot of experience what the deck is. And if you end up doing something totally different, maybe you do something totally different. But I like I know what the monster line is capable of, broadly speaking.
Right.
And it's not that I don't fear it, but it's a consistent threat. So none of the things that I'm doing are particularly better or worse into it than each other. Space is a little bit limiting for me because that is a deck that King Ghidorah is very good into. It's a deck that the Bungler is a bit afraid of because unless I spend resources, there are cards that I can draw that spend resources very well trading into space, but they also require very specific draws. Like if I draw the level one that kills crystal tokens, that's awesome. Then I just win the game. If I don't draw the level one, I could be at 50,000 threat, 70,000, and you hit me with two copies of God of Destruction, and that's
Yep.
40 right there. Like it gets kind of sketchy quickly. So that would sort of incentivize uh, well, it's a bad matchup, really, in the scenario that I don't draw the hate card. That's why the hate card has to be in the deck.
Right.
And on top of that, Space can tech the King Ghidorah, or not the King Ghidorah, the Des Ghidorah card pretty easily. Space's
Mm-hmm.
deck is pretty flexible. So it's like I really want to put King Ghidorah against Space, which means that if this shakes out the way I think it's going to, I'm going to need to have something else that's capable of contending with Giant Unknown Creature if I pick the wrong deck into that one. Off with to take on Space. It's is it ever Baragon? I'm thinking about it. It's an odd way of maintaining access to the green sweeper spells like versus King
Mm.
Ghidorah and stuff like that, but also simultaneously you have the same in-game threat potential of King Ghidorah, assuming that you do your stacking somewhat intelligently.
Right.
But you sort of have you can do the important part of the King Ghidorah thing into the matchups where that's relevant, and you can also shore up some of the late game fragility that the bungler has because of the green decks that can just delete it.
Right.
So maybe I'm tempted to pick Baragon. It's either Baragon or just the classic Godzilla 1954,
Oh.
which is the original Red Rage, the very first meta deck in the game, very back when the game just started. Yeah. I won with this one a couple of weeks ago also, and I enjoyed playing it, but I gotta admit, I don't really like its chances into any of the other three decks that you picked. Because it just ceased to exist because it was a worse version of what Shin Combo came to be. Shin Combo could just do the Red Rage stuff and also have a combo kill option.
Right.
So 1954 largely stopped needing to exist. And every other thing in red is just various worse builds that I could do versus your Shin Combo. So I don't like that very much. I guess ultimately I am faced between playing something that's classic and that I'm comfortable with, but isn't necessarily favorable into any of the specific decks that you're playing, and just trusting that if I lose with this one, my other two meta decks are going to carry me and it'll be okay, or playing something that actually has some sort of strategic defense into being a flexible role against the decks that you have chosen. And I think that leads me to picking Baragon just
Okay.
because of the access to the two colors.
I was going to say, if it helps with your choice, the way that the event is going to shake down, in order to win the whole event, you have to win with each one of the decks. So you
So
will
at
be
some point, it has to win.
yeah, at some point, whichever one you
And
choose has to win.
and in order for it to be able to win, it needs to be able to respond to a deck that I yeah, I see. I kind of see what is shaking out there. So each deck that I have needs to have at least one good matchup on your team. And if that's not
Yes.
true, then it's not really a viable choice. Therefore, because 1954 has no good matchups, only ones,
Right.
it's not a viable choice.
All
But King
right.
Ghidorah has a good matchup into space. The 2002 has a good matchup into Shin. Baragon has a plausible matchup into both space and not Shin is awkward with it because of how the teching cards can shake out. But into Mothra, it's just about the same as any other deck that I'm bringing. So we've got a selection that I feel like is plausible for getting three Ws.
Yep. All right. So that is our teams we have got. My team: giant unknown creature, Mothra, and Space Godzilla flying form. And on Ian's team, we've got King Ghidorah, Godzilla 2002, and Baragon. So yeah, look forward to
You
when we.
winning the you winning the toss, the metaphorical dice roll that definitely colored the direction of the draft a lot
It
because
did.
I was immediately going to pick giant unknown creature. That was always the plan. So by denying me my first choice, we kind of had to play on the back foot the rest of the way there. But the colors ended up working out okay. If you had taken, I don't know. I'm glad that I didn't have to end up with a green card that I didn't like,
Yeah.
or playing like a suboptimal bungler or something like that. There was always the option of taking Monster X at the end as just a generic, can be any color,
Yep.
and that's not bad. But I don't know anything about playing Monster X, so it would
Yeah.
have been an ambitious decision.
Yep. All right. Cool. Thanks for sitting down and drafting out the teams, and we'll look forward to building each of their decks and a future match using the three of them.